Hi everybody, Scott Jewers here, and this is a quick entry in the Wolf and the Neural Network. Now, I have no other choice but to force their hand. Okay? That's what you're going to see here. That's what's happening. You see, they lied, cheat, and stole, and they know what they're doing. So, listen, I never asked any of you to just believe me. I've never asked anybody to support me. I've literally put out every piece of evidence for you to decide for yourself, and I've admitted my bias. I've even released the police reports. So you can make a fair decision. Right? I'm confident in the evidence. The other evidence that I have, it's incredible. I'm confident in that. Ask yourselves, why hasn't somebody come talk to me? All these events. Somebody offering me $50,000 for stories about my life. My GPS location being set somewhere. The fraud that J.D. Irving obviously committed. Right? Stephen McNeil resigning. All these Emmett contracts. Literally, I'm reporting somebody touched me. They touched my stomach. Right here. Right? I got these officers on record lying, cheating, and stealing. Tim Houston showed up the night that my mother died. Right? Think about that. Nobody's coming to talk to me because they know I'm right, guys. One thing, you all have met me. Did I come off as a liar to any of you? No. That's right. And when you hear the rest of this and you hear the rest of the evidence, I bet a lot of you are already like, Scott, obviously something happened. Obviously something happened. It did. It did. And when you see the rest of the evidence, you're going to understand that. You're going to understand that they left me no fucking choice. Right? And you're going to understand that the Prime Minister does know. That's right. This runs really deep. This runs way past the Prime Minister. This runs into U.S. politics and then global politics. It runs into the war in Ukraine. It runs into all of these issues. Right? And I could sit down, I could talk about it, I could detail it, but I don't have time. I don't. These people have literally ruined my life. And if you turn your back to a predator, what do those predators do? You know what they're going to do. If I do not address this now, then what's going to happen in the future? Would you trust these people? No, none of you would. So listen, they're going to arrest me and they're probably going to pump me full of drugs and they're going to torture me and terrorize me. Right? Because if they charge me, then they have to do a formal investigation of these people. And as soon as they do, and this goes in front of a judge and a jury on public record, they're in a lot of trouble. So that's why they're torturing me. Right? So that's what they're going to do. And, you know, they're going to take everything from me so I can't defend myself. They know I don't have money, so they're going to take advantage of that. It's a basic social-economic attack. And I wouldn't expect anything less from these monsters, right? So listen, if you met me, you know that I tried to be kind to every person. I tried to be caring. I tried to be a good person. For a lot of you, I worked down to Liscombe Lodge for a long time. A lot of you probably had me as a waiter. Right? So many of you have actually met me. I want the best for you and your family. If you look at this and I talk about racism, I'm fair about this on both sides. Because I want what's best for everybody. What's best for humanity, what's best for our species, and what's going to get us through tomorrow. Honesty. Dealing with problems head on. Alright, I faced this. I dealt with this. Because of what I went through as a kid. What many of you have gone through in your lives, and you wish that this could be different. So you could have a better chance at life. So you could actually have a chance, that you stood a chance. That the things that made you who you are, that caused the damage in your life, just didn't happen for the next generation. Right? I won't have kids. But I can try to make sure that this doesn't happen to the next Scott. To the next you. That if you let these people do what they're doing, it's just going to keep happening. So, listen, you don't have to support me. Don't comment on my posts. Just share it. Try to give me at least a chance, okay? And I will fight these fucking cocksuckers. I will take each and every one of them fucking down. I'll do it the right way through the fucking law. Share this. Give me a fighting chance here, please. Thank you. And to everybody, I sincerely love you, and I hope that the world is kinder to you, and I'm so sorry for what it's done to so many of you. But if I have something to say about it, part of it ends today. Hey everybody, Scott Jors here again, and this is another personal entry in the Wolf and the Neural Network. This entry here is going to be geared towards CTV, mostly in the Atlantic provinces, in Halifax, but to Bell Media as a whole. I want to start out by stating that early in 2021, it was like late in 2021 when I started out sending all the emails, I really knew something bad was going on, but I didn't know how bad it was. So anybody that might have been exposed to this, whether it was Steve Murphy, like Katie Kelly, or Janice, or her mother, who ultimately did the, who had done the article in Gospel Journal, I want to directly apologize for the attention this would have brought to you guys. We're at a point now where it's going to be seen no matter what, so I think that it's mostly appropriate to apologize here to make it obvious if these people retaliate against you. I am very, very sorry for how that might have come off, but some really bad stuff was happening. I knew it was happening and I didn't know what to do. I'm just one guy, right? I'll admit, like, I handled a lot of this really well, and I was doing self-assessments of myself throughout. And there's a lot of things I could have done better. There's a lot of things that I didn't anticipate how I was going to react. But I went through this constant process of, reassessing myself and the strategy I was going to take. And, I do feel that was a mistake. But like I said, I didn't know how bad this was, and I am sorry, and I'm sorry for any other. I know you know these people are crazy, right? And it's not that it's that. Obviously, right? They're crazy people. These people right at the top of JD, whomever these people are, right? They're crazy. They're sociopaths and psychopaths, and I guess I was afraid. I thought that somebody would just come forward and end this, and that they would end it because they knew I wasn't going to back down. I didn't expect them to be such awful, consistent people. And, I'm sorry if those people targeted you. And I guess to that, I want to speak more so now to Bell Media as a whole. Quite clearly, you're not picking this up because of Bill C-18. And everybody can see right from the start, right from 2019, Post-Media Torstar, what was going on, right? We can go back and talk about the spyware and that kind of stuff, but then just happens to come forward with Bill C-18, Post-Media buys J.D. Irving, or buys Brunswick News Inc. It looks like there might have been outstanding debts. Everybody knows what this really is, and you know that Bill C-18 benefits you. And I want to tell you something, Bell. I really don't give a fuck. You probably get that general feeling from me. I'll be pretty honest about my feelings. The way I see it is your best argument is to state that these companies are running AI software and gathering statistics based on the articles that your journalists and stuff are creating. And so this isn't just simply a link tax. They are directly benefiting and gathering information from the content itself, the click rates, the words used in the titles. They're gathering information about all of that, and it's all generated by you. It's your intellectual property, I guess, I'm not sure of the term, that these people are generating, and they are benefiting from that. I would say that's your better argument to try to explain it to Canadians, that it's not just linking. It's that we're at such a point with technology that they're gathering every bit of information about that, and you're not getting the credit or the money from that. And at this point, since the technology has reached such a point, there needs to be a more fair, level playing field for that. And I think that's your better argument to talk to everyday people. I'm asking you to please not retaliate against any of these people. Please don't retaliate against any of them. You know, if you have a problem with somebody, you can retaliate against me. But I'm not your enemy. Right? You know that. So, I'll leave it at that. Um, I want to say this. I would have liked to sit down with Steve Murphy and allow him to ask me any questions that he wanted to, and I wouldn't have prepared for them. I'd let him do it in real time. And I'll extend that offer to Todd Battis if you would like to sit down and have a conversation. This is a Nova Scotia issue, and I'll give you first dibs. You have 48 hours. Thank you very much. Hi everybody, Scott Jors here again. This is another personal entry in the Wolf in the Know Network. This is directed towards Premier Tim Houston, Nova Scotia. Hi Tim. I really, in a lot of ways, wish this would have been under a lot of different circumstances. It's very unfortunate that this is what it came to. But the reality is you could have ended this a long time ago. You came in as the new Premier, you had a mandate, you obviously knew about this, you could have had this ended. We could have done something, and if you go back and look at the emails, you see what I said. All I asked for was education, and I wasn't going to sue the province or do anything, because I'd rather that money and those resources be spent on real problems, helping people, and I meant that wholeheartedly. I never wanted to use these issues against the province or against politics or anything like that. So, I mean, you can go on with the police and say this is some kind of polarized personal political ideology or something like that, but the facts are you know that it's not. Right? This is all evidence-based. It's based on a technical expert. And look how right I was about all these different events. Right? Like, I don't know how much they told you about, like... And I know you know, it doesn't matter. Now, you know you showed up the night that my mother died and you couldn't even look me in the eye. Right? And if it wasn't you, then they sent somebody who looked like you. And if it was you and you didn't intend for that, think about the odds of that. It's about between 1 and 10 million, 20 million of us meeting at that time in that place. So you really need to speak with your God in regards to that. Right? Because that's... So, it was you. And you could have spoken to me. You know what I would have said that night? I would have said, look, I just speak to Justin, get these healthcare problems fixed, please. Please. We could have sat down and we could have talked. But you didn't want to. You guys knew what you had to do, and you were there to frame me and set me up. I knew that. I talked to my family before it. It's pretty obvious that's what it was, because if not, you would have come forward. Right, you've seen the report I submitted about Nova Scotia Health Authority, them denying me a lawyer, taking my blood, forcing me into an MRI machine, those HRP officers lying. You've seen that. You've seen that I reported that somebody touched me inappropriately and Dr. Holmes covered it up. And you hear the recording. I made it all available for anybody to listen to. You hear her denying a technical expert. You hear her lying, cheating, and stealing. Right? But the reality is, going back into 2021, you obviously installed that NSHA board of directors, and this is worth a lot of money towards them. So money is your main motivator. Not human dignity, not me as a person, not what's the right thing to do. Right? You literally watched me suffer through the events with my mother as you people sent the police here. My abusers. Right? Take a look at Jessica from RCMP Sheet Harbor. You know what that is. Take a look at Jonathan Jeffries. You know what that is. Would you trust Jonathan Jeffries? No, you wouldn't. Would you trust Dan Kinsella? No, you wouldn't. Would you trust Jessica from RCMP Sheet Harbor? Would you trust the cop who stalked me out of the driveway, or the 2 cops who showed up the day I was protesting racism? No, you wouldn't. You'd be terrified and horrified because you know what that is. It's a disease, Tim. It's a disease. And it's not a disease that's going to fix itself, and it's not a disease that's going to be fixed by the actions you've taken. You know I've never asked for you to support me. All I've asked for is a fair fighting chance. That's it. Everything I've done has been based on evidence. And you know I'm really smart. You know CSIS is thinking the same thing, and RCMP is thinking the same thing. You know I know something that a lot of people don't know. You know that you can't be taught. Somebody doesn't get all of this stuff right. It's because of the life I lived, and I'm trying to warn you what this is. And I'm sorry that it's come to this, but I don't have another choice in regards to the arrest or what to do, because this has to move. You're the premier. You could have moved this. You didn't. You're clearly trying to cover it up. That's the way I have to see this. I have no other choice. And I have the evidence to back it, so I'm going to move forward with that. You still have time to end this. Right? So please, I'm asking you to end this. I know that you see this. Everybody watching knows you see this. That's all that I can do. Ask you as a man, please. All right. Thank you very much, and have a good day. Hi everybody, Scott George here again, and this is another personal entry in the Wolf in the Middle Network. This is a personal entry directed towards David Fraser, a well-known privacy lawyer from Halifax, Nova Scotia, works for McGinnis Cooper. And I want to start out, this isn't not meant to demean or do anything like that or draw any type of attention, and I hope that this doesn't cause Mr. Fraser any issues. So yeah, hi David. I didn't think that we would actually talk under such conditions. I was really fascinated about what your role was in all of this. As you can see, by the infographics and everything, you were involved somehow, and it was never really clarified. I assumed it was the contracts from years ago, but I think it goes deeper than that. That being said, I'm not asking you to expose yourself. I'm not asking you to support me. I'm not asking you for anything like that. And for anybody watching, he never has. He has tried to be as impartial as he possibly could. And I want it known that because he is a conflict of interest, he was never able to properly defend himself. Not that did anything towards him. Everything was information based. But I want to be fair here, because in the end, that David, you are obviously still kind towards me, and you're like one of the only people that, even when my mother passed, out of that thread, you still emailed me and just said, "I'm sorry to hear about that, Scott." And that meant a lot, David. That small gesture meant a lot. It really did. I think that you know by now I'm extremely skilled. And I think that you know a lot more went on than what these people are willing to tell you, and that this was really bad. And I think you know, had this not been me, they probably would have done something really bad to me. Let's be honest, we know that. When it comes to privacy, I'm sure you're seeing everything with artificial intelligence now, and you can see why I was yelling about those topics way back in 2021, and why I was trying to bring attention to it. And we could sit down and have a real big conversation about the direction of that. But that's not, appropriate topic for today. I'm sure that you're well aware of it, and it's probably something that you're reading up on a lot, because it's all over the news and everything. And I'm not trying to be a doomsayer or anything like that. I'm just trying to warn about what this thing actually is. And if I had resources and money and a team of people, what I could do is terrifying. With such technology and the directions that I see that going in, my biggest worry is human dependency will shift too quickly to these technologies, and we'll become too dependent on them. And then if something were to happen, it could be really bad. Yeah, I want to put that aside for right now, and I want to talk about you. There's nothing that you can do about this, and I hope in a lot of ways you don't feel bad, right? And I'm sorry to have involved you in this, and I'm sorry for any extra attention this might bring you, right? But I knew what was going on. You're one of the only people I edit when they locked me up in Mount Hope, and then you're on CTV, and we're talking about spyware and all these different things. I'm really smart, David. And I'm just trying to warn these people about what's really coming for them because of the things I've seen in my life. And it's not over yet. I feel like you know that. Now, in regards to this issue with Bill C-18, I need to say that it's not just simply a link tax, right? These companies are running their AI software and gathering a bunch of information about these articles and stuff like that. And then they're going to use that to create trillion-dollar markets. So when we're talking about these things, you're right, it is basically a link tax, and they are attacking the way that the internet works. You're absolutely right. But also these companies are getting more value out of these links and stuff than what they're stating that they are. And the issue is different from Meta, and the issue is different from Google. And I think that, they need to have discussion about how to deal with that properly. And I could have a longer talk, but I want you to just keep that in mind. And I wanted to say thank you. Thank you for being a good person, David. Thank you. Trying. Hi everybody, Scott Jors here again. This is another personal entry in the Wolf in the Neural Network. This one here is directed at the Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Hi Justin. Let's be honest, we all know you see me. Seen me for a while. You know I didn't do this for any polarized personal or political ideologies. Everything I have said and done was based on facts and evidence. You know that I tried to do the right thing. You know, had somebody contacted me in 2020, I would have ended this. Right? But now, here you are coming out, going on, this is to protect democracy, and you're saying that Bell Media and Post Media and Torstar are being bullied. You've deplatformed me. You've literally stripped my rights to my dignity. I don't even have rights with the police. Right? Look at those police lying on the record, Justin. You know they're lying, and what are you doing? That's right. And then all this stuff with Jamie Irving becoming executive, you know that I was right the entire time. And you know, in regards to the war coming, you know I did the right thing. I did the best that I could with the tools that I had, and I tried to warn you. And there's so much about that I would like to talk about. How I knew. It told me a lot about myself. And I understand you might not understand my approach to that and why I did what I did. But I took it very seriously. And look at all these topics, I was right. You know that I'm a smart person, and I wouldn't. Doesn't matter. I didn't try to use these issues with racism or anything like that to hurt anybody. I didn't. And I'm sure by now that you know that I try to be a good person. I've never threatened anybody, did anything like that. But then to send the police here as I'm walking to see my dying mother. Blisters on my fucking feet when you could have helped. And you're going to sit back and blame me. You're going to let that psychologist lie. You're going to let those police lie on a record. And then you're going to come out to Canada and say you're different. You're going to hold police responsible for their abuse. I'm going to tell you something. The first time that I was stopped by RCMP, it was so weird. Buddy drove by a few kilometers, and then came back, and it was because my boyfriend at the time was black. You should have seen him looking at him in the passenger seat. And I was like, when we were done, when the officer left, I was like, man, that was so weird. And he's like, Scott, it's because I'm black and there's no black people out here. That's why it's so weird. Did you see him looking at me? And it's like, yeah, I did. You see it, right? I hope you know we're not like that with the police. You know they're like that, man. I got stalked out of my driveway by a religious fanatic. Because I'm a gay bro. I told you about some of the violence and hate that I faced in my life. I was terrified to go to school. You know, one day they stopped in class to talk about how much they hated gay people. How they should be hurt, they should be killed or put on an island all by themselves. Do you know how scary that is for a kid? Knowing, do you know how many times I tried to change myself and wish that I could be different? Do you know how many long it took to accept myself? I still don't love myself. But I know that love's real. I fell in love once, I know. And you know that I don't want to stand behind you, I don't want to stand in front of you. I want to stand beside you to do something better. And you know, like these people have looked and you know I'm not perfect. I'm far from it. I've got a lot of fucking problems. But what my problems aren't what these people are saying, and you know that. You know these police are lying, and this is an opportunity to change something, to give yourself the mandate to change something, to address these monsters head on. I'm not asking for you to support me. I'm asking you to give me a fighting chance. Thank you very much, and good luck with everything. Hi everybody, Scott Jors here, and this is another entry in the Wolf in the Know Network. This entry is directed at Jagmeet Singh, leader of the NDP, New Democratic Party of Canada. This is in regards to his behavior and the fact that he obviously knows about the core issue, and he's helping these people cover it up. He's helping cover up for the right kind of white. So I'm going to talk directly to Jagmeet. Jagmeet, do you honestly expect anybody's going to believe that if I was a black man or a brown man, you wouldn't have acted differently? You carry almost 20% of the vote in Canada. Right? So do you realize that if you would have acted differently because of the color of my skin, that's systemic racism? Do you understand that? You went on about the police, and you went on about how it's unfair, and you went into Parliament, literally yelled at people and called them racist. Here I am proving that they stole a historic apology so the right kind of white could literally get what they wanted. These police lied, cheated, and stole. They literally mocked racism to my face. Said it was all some narrative to get them. And then I got stopped by the police while protesting racism. Man, I was stopped out of my sister's driveway by this police officer because I'm a gay bro. I literally gave you the mandate and the opportunity to say something directly to these people. To some of the worst people on the planet. To J.D. Irving, who could change so much of this with just a snap of their fingers. And what did you do? You're literally on your knees alongside of the white man where you claim to be so much better. Right? Why aren't you out there calling Dan Kinsella a racist? Why aren't you demanding answers? Everybody knows why, because when it comes down to it, you're no different than the white man. Somebody flashes some money in front of your face, and you know exactly what you're going to do. You're going to be on your knees, double fucking fisting while you're judging everybody else. Right? Look at the supply and confidence agreement. Look at it. Quite clearly, that's what... You guys knew what was going on, and right now you don't know? All this information, all this evidence, and you don't know? You knew they were sending police here. As I'm walking to see my sick mother in the hospital, you're making it exponentially worse on me as you're giving them $1.5 billion. And now you're out there claiming to support democracy. Yet, look at this massive issue. You're deplatforming me. You're not representing me. You're lying to all of these people watching this. And you're helping these right kinds of white, Postmedia and Torstar. And you know Postmedia was involved in some real bad stuff. The owners of Postmedia literally supporting white supremacists and racists in different instances, giving them a platform for their hate. And here you are on your knees. Right? You think that's a democracy? That's not protecting democracy. Bell Media and Postmedia and Torstar, they're not the victims. You make $710 million in a single quarter. You are not the victims. You know that. Right? So why don't you demand accountability? Why don't you demand, right? Look at Jonathan Jeffries. You know he's lying. Are you going to say anything about it? No, you're not. You're going to hide from it. Say there's nothing you can do because it's easy, because I'm just some white little faggot dog. I don't got representation, and you know that. And you're going to take advantage of that just like The white man. And then you wonder why people went out with their White Lives Matters flag? You want to know why we can't reconcile and get past these issues? It's because because when people look at you, they know what you are, Jagmeet. They know what you are. They know when it comes down to it, you're not going to have their back. You've got your special interests based on your own polarized personal and political ideologies based around race and these specific types of issues. Whereas then I tried to be fair across the board. When I went out to stand for racism, I didn't know all these people were watching. I had no idea. And when you go back and you look through 2019, 2018, and you see the kind of person I tried to be, you'll see that my fight against racism and hate has been going on for many years before that, and I have been consistent in who I am. So you could try to say that I use those topics, then, I mean, go ahead. It just shows what a fucking monster you are. You're going to say just because I'm white I must have tried to use those issues and manipulate it? Go ahead, man, but it just shows what a monster you are. Now, you have a real opportunity to do the right thing here. You see how many corrupt police are involved in this. And the other data that I have would allow you to actually have the mandate to say something directly to these right kinds of white. So you make that choice. I can't force you to do anything. All I can ask you as a human being to see me as a human being. Thank you very much and have a good day. Hi everybody, Scott Jors here again. This is another entry in the Wolf in the Know Network. This entry here is directed towards Dan Kinsella, Chief of Police for Halifax Regional Police. Hi Dan. I really hoped we would have been able to talk under different circumstances. That day I walked down Halifax Regional Police, I was there to talk. Right? I think it's quite clear you knew I was walking down there. Whether you admit it or not, you did. You knew what was going on. And you go back to the events of November 2019, you knew what was going on and you know who this involves. And like I said to those officers that day, hey, maybe you didn't know and maybe you were set up to fail. That's an option. But at some point you did know the difference and you still chose to act the way that you chose to act. And I think that you know I have no problems with you. And if you go back and check the record, I have no problems with police. I showed them my support. I trusted them. And look what they did to me. Look what they did. Look what they did stalking me out of my sister's driveway. They did to my one of my exes when they went down to Halifax Regional Police because he was brown. Look what RCMP did when they stopped me because my boyfriend was black at the time. Look what they did with my wallet. Right? Look at Jim Perrin basically mocking me, saying the racism and this stuff's all basically some narrative to get police. Look what the police did when I was out protesting racism, stalking me back and forth. Right? Look at the police officer stalking me out of my sister's driveway because I'm gay in his plain clothes and his cop car. You know what that is, buddy. You know what that is. Right? Look at the officers, the arresting officers that day lying. Go back and watch the video footage of that supervisor pull her pants up like the big man. You know what that is. Look at Jonathan Jeffries lying. You know what that is. Right? So when you go on CTV News and you look at Todd Battis or you look at Nova Scotia and you say you can't understand why people don't trust the police and that they just used to trust them, Dan, it's because they can see who you are now. Right? They have all these means, and as soon as they got to see who you are, look how it's changing. It's not on the public, it's not on everybody else, it's on you. There are good officers. There are. I understand that just because there's good people and there's bad people. But when it comes to policing, that even if 10% are bad officers, those 10% are the ones that are going to get promoted. And then they're going to drag everybody else into their extortion engine. And then they're going to take good officers and turn them into bad officers. That's what's going to happen. That's the culture. And that's exactly what I experienced. Otherwise, people who would be good, decent people did awful, horrible things because of what these awful cops did. That's right. And you know that. Right? And now think about this from my perspective on this. 2 months after I walked down there with all this evidence, HRP does a historic, unprecedented vote against you. 96% voted no confidence in you. Now, I don't know if it's related to me or not, or if it's just everybody else is seeing what I'm seeing, but there's instances where you were trying to sneak out the back door at these black community events because you didn't want to answer questions. Here you are allowing these officers to degrade me and humiliate me, and you didn't come forward. You know I'm right about all of this. And you're going on the news looking at everybody saying you don't know why they can't just trust police? Are you serious? Those officers obviously have a serious problem with you, Dan. You're the one who said that you would personally follow up in every single case regarding these very specific topics and these people. And where are you? And you're coming out saying, oh, you don't know why people can't trust you or don't just trust the police. No, you know. Look at Jessica. Look at Jonathan Jeffries. If you were me, would you trust them? You absolutely would not. You'd say, Scott, get the fuck away from those people. I know that and you know that, right? And you can say that you don't and I don't know what you know, and that's fair. But the fact is I never had any problems with you at all. And we could have ended this so many different ways. So to let it get to this point was not my fault. That's your fault. You made choices. And right now it seems like the province, all the evidence I have, those HRP officers, they all see the same thing in you. And it's not everybody else, Dan. It's you. You are the problem. And you can come out and prove me otherwise. Thank you. Have a good day. Hi everybody, Scott Jors here again, and this is another personal entry in the Wolf and the Neural Network. This one here is directed to Pierre Poilievre of the Conservative Party of Canada. I know you see me, Pierre. I know you know about this issue, and I know you just don't care, because that means you'd have to seriously reflect on your life. I think that you know the reason that you were put into power, why Aaron O'Toole was voted out. You know it was a coup, basically. Right? Anybody looking at it would know that. I'm not saying that you're not prepared to do the job or you're not going to be a good leader or anything like that, but let's really recognize what it is. Right? Now, let's take a look back at the Freedom Convoy and you came out shaking hands with hate. How'd that turn out for you? How long before they threatened to rape your wife? Right? Do you see what shaking hands with that is going to do? Listen. You know I'm not asking you to support me as a human being. You know I'm not pretending to be the best person. You know the massive risk I'm taking, exposing myself like this, releasing those police reports, you know, making all these videos. You know how that's going to affect my career and my job. You know what the police are going to do to me. But you also know that I'm really smart. You know that there's no way I could have done all of this if I didn't know something about people. You know that CSIS is thinking the same thing. So why do you think I'm doing this, Pierre? For the good of my health? No. Because I'm trying to tell you something. Right? I'm trying to tell you what hate is. I'm trying to show you what's coming for you. And I'm trying to show you where your actions may very well lead Canada if you're not careful. There's real hate, and you cannot control that. And you thinking that you can control that is only going to give it a platform, and then it's going to get rid of you. Just like you did with Aaron O'Toole. Not you, but... Now, you have your different policies and your views, and your role in government is not come up with solutions for Justin Trudeau, and I agree with that, and I understand that wholeheartedly. You need to be opposition and you need to push those people. But when it comes to topics about hate and human dignity, those are not ones you need to push back on. Those are ones that you should fully support, you should endorse. You need to stop this kind of hate. You need to stop the degradation of women's rights, of gay rights. You need to stop and understand that racism is real. You need to understand that hate is real, and it is a disease. I estimate that the best that we'll be able to do is keep it around 10%. 1 in 10 people are going to be a hateful cunt. That's about the best we could do. If we could get it down closer to 5, we're doing real good. Right? That's a manageable number. But trying to ignore that number and trying to ignore that. And listen, you see me. Do you see me saying that it's just the white man or just the black man or this? No. I'm not, because that's the right thing to do. I understand that you can't have that conversation. I understand Jagmeet can't have that conversation. I understand Justin Trudeau can't have that conversation. I understand that David Fano of CSIS can't have that conversation. I understand Brenda Lucky couldn't have that conversation. I'm not doing this for the good of my health. All right? I'm doing it because it's the right thing to do. Sometimes there are right things to do. I don't care about the politics in the end. You know I could have polarized this. I could have shown support for Justin Trudeau. You know that I'm obviously liberal leaning. And I left that out for the longest time. I was forced by the police to reveal my political feelings. In the end, I don't really care. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. Now, take a look at those police and what they did. They lied, cheated, and stole. Right? Take a look at it. They lied about this. They set me up to fail. They framed me. I've never even had client attorney privilege. Look at it. Don't I deserve rights? Don't I deserve a fair chance at life? You know that I do. You know that so many do. Your daughter, your wife should never have been treated like that. Your daughters. That's all I'm asking for. I'm not asking for you to support me or anything like that. I'm asking you to please recognize what this really is and give me a fair fighting chance. Okay? Thank you very much. Have a good day. Hey everybody, Scott George here again. I'm doing another personal entry in the Wolf and the No Network. This entry is directed towards Brenda Lucky, the previous commissioner of the RCMP. Hi Brenda. I know you have no reason to like me, right? But the reality is I never lied to you once. Right? And had the police not done what they did and how they did that, I would never have acted the way that I did or had to act the way that I did. You know very well we could have ended this a long time ago. We could have ended this properly. But you didn't want to. Right? You know what these people were doing. You watched them do it. Right? But better me than them, right? Better me than the right kind of white. Everybody knows it. You know it. Right? And then you got these racism issues and you come out and tell everybody that they're too stupid to know what's going on and it's just systemic bias. Brenda, there's just one simple question I can ask you. Okay, Brenda. Let's say it is now systemic bias. Quite clearly there was severe systemic racism in Canada. Right? And now you want to call it bias. Okay. Well, what year did it become bias? You're not going to be able to answer that. None of those officers are going to be able to answer that. And that's not a white thing, a black thing, or a native thing, or indigenous. The reality is that hate will always exist in the hearts of humans. Unfortunately, it's a part of all of us. We have the capacity for amazing good, for compassion and love, but we all have the capacity for hate to do some horrible things. And I'm sure as a police officer, you've seen that. You've seen people that you know are not bad people do some horrible things. And sometimes people who you think are bad people probably have done things that were really good and probably surprised you. Right? Hate, racism, degradation. Those things are not for one color, right? And we all know that black people can be racist, Asian people can be racist, and native people can be racist. Indigenous, however you want to refer to that. I'm not trying to be ignorant in those topics. Right, we know that to be true. And we know that, based on studies, like the Stanford Prison study, or say like the studies done by Jane Elliott, that it doesn't matter about your race or this or that. If you tell one group of people they are simply better because, they will do horrible things. And then we can say, then what happens when you tell the police that they're just better? Well, look at the abuses you've committed against me because of that same premise. It's what happens when you just tell people they are superior and allow those kinds of violence and those type of degradation of human dignity to occur. And look what happened towards me. You know very well you would not trust those officers who stopped me. You won't trust that officer who stalked me into my sister's driveway. You would never trust Jessica from RCMP Sheet Harbor. You would never trust Jonathan Jeffries, and you wouldn't trust Dan Kinsella. And if you say that you would, it's only because you're the right kind of white. You know they're lying. You know they're cheating, and you know they're stealing. You're a cop, you know that. You know that, yeah, for everything that you might have a problem with me and I've got my problems, that's not me. And here's the reality. When I spoke to Jessica in RCMP in Sheet Harbor, I told her this too, and this is consistent. Had you dealt with this, I would have supported you, because I know the reality is that there are so many men that were willing and ready to jump you that you almost never stood a chance. And I wasn't going to support you just because you supported me. It's because, like, the only way that you're going to have reconciliation is if you admit to what it is. And I know that's difficult for you to have that conversation, because the minute you say that the police are racist, then that 10% of the hate in the police, which is the dominant 10%, that ruins it for everybody else, it's going to come for you, and you know that. Look how it came for me. Look at Jonathan Jeffries. He's a perfect example, and, like, you know, he's black or whatever, but that makes the example so much better. Right, so there was so much that we could have done, and there were so many ways that you could have resolved this, but, you know, it was based on money and you not wanting to face these right kinds of white over and over and over and over and over again. You made those choices. I didn't make them for you. I played it with you as a human being, and all that I asked you for was a fair fighting chance, and you did not give it to me. You just gave these billionaires and these right kinds of white more and more and more and more because you get something out of it. I am sorry to hear about your husband and everything, and good luck in life. Hi everybody, Scott George here again, and this is another personal entry in the Wolf and the Hill Network. This is directed towards Halifax Regional Police as a whole, as in the officers. Hi. It's unfortunate that this is the way that we have to meet. I want you guys to know that I didn't have an issue with police. And if you go back and check all the reviews of Jim Perrin and stuff, you'll see that I supported the police and I talked about the issues fairly, including the issues with racism. And I was really scared for you guys that it would cause some of you to hesitate and get you hurt. Which is why, like, a big factor in why I didn't blow these issues out of the water. Because it was irresponsible to do. And we all know, you guys see enough hateful bastards, hateful cunts. You know that white, black, brown, people can just be hateful fucking assholes, racist assholes, right? But we also know that there is still racism very much alive and well in Nova Scotia, and there is racism within the police. Guys, I experienced it myself, the hate that I've experienced in my life and I've seen directed towards people, and that's not to judge any of you or blame any of you, or to state that that is a problem with all police, because we know that it's not. There are a lot of good officers, and I experienced different good officers that I know were good people inside, regardless of how this goes. As a lot of you know, that you are trying to do the right thing, and unfortunately there are bad officers that put you in bad positions because they won't do their jobs and they drag you down with them. And there's very little we can do about that. Especially if you have leadership that won't acknowledge those problems and will hide from them, such as Dan Kinsella. Now, when I look at your historic vote in regards to him, I see what you're seeing, and I think, I don't know what you individually see. There are a lot of issues still with police, and you're not getting support, and he's probably right, but not 96%. That is very clearly, you guys have some sort of problem with him. And I can tell you from, like, a sociological perspective and what I understand about psychology and from testing him personally, I second that opinion. Right? These are his issues. He should never have put those officers in that position on August 2nd when I was falsely arrested. It's him who thinks you're animals. It's him who thinks you're just pigs for him to do whatever he thinks he should be able to do with. Well, he hides from the ramifications himself. Well, he hides from these right kinds of white. You're just pawns in his game. Now, if you go back and check the record, I was an advocate for mental health funding for the police, and I was as fair as I possibly could. And there were different officers that day. Like, you'll see, I defended them on Facebook. I defended them and said how inappropriate it was that people like Jonathan Jeffries would do something like that. Right? I can almost forgive in different ways the arresting officers. They made serious mistakes. I won't forgive that supervisor. That supervisor knew what she was doing, let's be clear. But you look at somebody like Jonathan Jeffries, and it's disturbing and it's disgusting, and to know that, like, that that there are such good officers and then there's just such bad officers that are going to do that. Like, I have sympathy for you. I do. I do. It's not something you can just change, and you're going to take the heat for that. I understand that. That doesn't make bullying me and harassing me right. It doesn't mean that the officer who screamed in my face after I was sitting there completely calm, cool, and collected, and that admitting doctor getting up and mocking me, that wasn't right, and you know that. So there's not much that I can really do for you guys. I can advocate for you to get mental health funding. I can advocate, and express my concerns against the actions of somebody like Dan Kinsella, and I can try to be as fair as I can. I know, but there's not much I can do. And I'm not asking for you to support me because I understand these are highly polarized issues, and you know very well that if you do in some way that these people are going to come for you. You know that. And there's not much that we can do about that. And please know that when I'm saying, if I say pigs, or use the word pig or whatever like that, I'm not talking about all of you. And if you see somebody getting mad about that and I'm not even talking to them, you know what that is. That has nothing to do with me or you. That has everything to do with their insecurities about who they actually are and their inability to be able to manage themselves. And like I said, it's very unfortunate that we have to meet under these circumstances, and that, because I really wanted to help law enforcement, but unfortunately I would have helped you law enforcement target people like me or vulnerable people, because we're still not there yet. We're still not at that point where people can trust police, and it's not on all of you, it's on failed leadership. So I'm not trying to suck up, I'm not trying to do anything like that. I'm trying to be honest as a man and a human being, and hopefully you can see that honesty and see where I'm coming from. Okay? Thank you very much. Thanks for the ones who didn't degrade me. Good luck out there. Please be safe. Take care. Hi everybody, Scott Jors here again. This is another personal entry in the Wolf and the Neural Network. This entry here is directed towards David Vanneau of CSIS. Hi David. Oh, I'm sure you see me. You might even see me recording this right now. Obviously a joke. You know I'm not paranoid about this. Probably not funny to joke about it when there's monsters like Dr. Holmes, eh? But let's be very frank here. You see me, I see you, we're looking at each other. You know that I'm not stupid. You know I know something. You're behavioral. You see how much I've nailed these things on the head and I've caught these people? You know there's only one way I would have done that's because I know people. And I'm sure you've learned a lot from this, and there's a lot more that you can learn. And there's a lot more I could have taught you, taught your agents, shown you. And I'm sure you're going to learn from this. You're going to learn how to lie and cover it up better next time, which is probably good. Right? I did this for the right reasons. I did this to be fair. But do you know, had I wanted to be dirty about this, you know the damage I could have caused. Right? Just me. One single guy. That was never my intention. You know very well that I take the security of Canada and its peoples and your position in that very, very seriously. And I understand that you can't just stop to help me this or that, right? But at the same time, you do have an obligation to look at the police and say, look, they have guns on their sides. They have all this power. And how are they using that power? Are they using it to truly help Canadians, or are they using it to terrorize Canadians? Right? And in this case, it's quite clear that the police use their power to terrorize Canadians, to steal historic apology, to lie, cheat, and steal on a mass scale, to specifically further their own personal and polarized political and personal ideologies, especially one like Jessica, right? You know how bad that is. You cannot allow something like that to go unchecked. Jonathan Jeffries, he was spoon-fed. So if somebody was coming to him because they didn't know who to go to and reporting serious issues, look what he would have done. He failed this country. He failed himself. He failed Halifax Regional Police. He failed me. He failed you. And you're going to allow them to say that that's okay, that's all right? No. You see the issues with RCMP now and the foreign interference. You know how bad this is, and there's a lot that you don't see. So what you have now is an opportunity to fully review Halifax Regional Police to send them a message that we're watching you. Do you understand me? And you will take these issues seriously. You have that opportunity to go in there. If I was you, David, I would be ordering a meeting with Dan Kinsella. I'd be walking right into there and make sure that every one of those officers knows, and you'd be going in there and sitting and having a conversation with him. They don't need to know what the conversation's about, but you should put the fear of CSIS in them. Of the CSIS God. You really should, and you know that. And what I'm doing is I'm giving you that mandate. I'm giving you that opportunity. You can see them lying, cheating, and stealing. It's an objective fact. You don't have to support me. You know it's true. Right? But the other part of this that's true is then you must have watched these people do all of this and you did nothing. But if I did even 0.0001% of what they did, you would have called me a terrorist and you would have destroyed my life and literally terrorized me. Right? And you know that these actions equate to mass surveillance because you would have used them, or these groups would have used them against everybody else except the right kinds of white. These are serious questions that you need to ask yourself, and you should be asking of these institutions. Now, I am going to make a request of CSIS. I'm going to make a direct request to David Fano. I'm requesting a meeting within 48 hours. If you have that meeting, I'll give you all my evidence, David. Do you know how bad that'll scare these fucking parties? And I've got more. I can point you in the right direction. It's your choice. Okay? Stay safe. I'm not your enemy. I'm going to be a little bit sassy, but I have no other choice but to defend myself. I'm not violent. I don't have any bad feelings or anything like that. And if you ever need to contact me, you know where I'm at now to reach me. Take care. Hi everybody, Scott George again, and this is another entry in the Wolf and the Neural Network, personal entry. This one here is directed towards Mount Hope staff and Nova Scotia Health Authority staff. I'm going to tell you, my recommendation first off is that you sue the fucking face off of these people. Alright? They lied to you, they should never have involved you. And they compromised your careers. No, Dr. Holmes, no. She don't get to play that card. The admitting doctor doesn't get to play that card. March 23rd, that admitting doctor, she doesn't get to play that card. And then the psychologist from Yarmouth, he doesn't get to play that card. But you know what? The different nurses and stuff in between, you get to play those cards. They should never have done that. They've compromised your life and now exposed you to serious risks in your life. These billionaires and their special interests. Just so they could get ahead. They knew full well what they were doing, and they treated you people like animals. They treated you like garbage, hoping that you would get involved in their extortion engine. And there were many of you who were very kind to me the entire time, and consistently kind. And I want to say, like, really thank you to you individuals. I know your jobs are not easy, and I never wanted to involve any of you guys, and I tried every step possible to try to not involve you guys. Right? The facts are, if you go back and actually watch the videos, the police lied. And then Dr. Holmes knew that. And then she wanted to cover it up. So now all you people are dragged into this, and for what reason? So these people who are supposed to be leaders don't have to face who and what they really are when you strip away their guns, money, and blind authority. Right? They can't face their own overinflated sense of self-worth and self-importance. It has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with me. It has to do with their inability to face the failures that they really are. Right? And we can talk about cognitive dissonance. We can talk about confirmation bias and these individuals. And we could get into a real detailed review. Right? And I mean, ultimately, I will be doing a bigger detailed review. But I think when all of you see the evidence, I don't know how you're going to be able to look at Dr. Holm ever in the face again and say that's a responsible human being. These directors at Nova Scotia Health Authority who issued that hit piece to try to cover this all up, I don't know how you could ever look in their face. Karen Hornberger, like literally, I'm reporting a serious incident where there was possible theft of my stuff, identity theft. I was inappropriately touched, right? I was touched right here, everybody, right here. As soon as I woke up to a man standing over top of me, and it shocked me. Right? Like, how can you trust somebody that wouldn't report something like that? And to that, I have to speak to Mount Hope staff. Listen to me. If you had any other reports about that doctor standing over top of anybody, or that they might have touched anybody, you need to report that. If there is any retaliation for that whatsoever, you can sue the face off of these people. You have a credible witness stating something really bad happened, and Dr. Holmes seems to have tried to cover it up and didn't report that. You have an obligation to those other patients that if you've heard that, you need to take that seriously. Please, I'm not lying to you. I have no reason to lie about this. I've already beat these people. I beat them before they took me in there. You see all the evidence and everything. And you'll see if you go back to October 22nd, 2022, I was consistent in this. So if you've seen that happen, you might have an abuser on your hands. A serious abuser, and that's terrifying. And it does seem that Dr. Holmes may have retaliated because I brought that out. And you know how bad that is. You've got a psychologist covering those things up. That's a dangerous person. That is a dick-hating nightmare monster. What she's doing is she's devaluing and decrediting the hard work that you individuals put in so she can hide like a coward while she tortures people and pumps them full of erectile dysfunction, right? 46% chance of erectile dysfunction. You can go listen to the recording and stuff yourself. I didn't deserve what that person did. So down in was it Yarmouth? You know, a lot of those staff are really kind to me. So I want to say thank you to you folks as well. I would distinguish, but I don't really have the time. And I just want to say thank you to those who are kind. And please, take care of yourselves. And if you ever need help, I'm here to help you. Thank you and have a good day. Hi everybody, Scott George again, and this is another personal entry in the Wolf in the Neural Network. This one is directed towards David Pudgley, sorry man if I got your name wrong, and Post Media. Now, I'm going to make it very clear that I'm going to be speculating on some points here, but it is based on massive amounts of data found throughout the Wolf in the Neural Network and throughout these videos. It is not my intention to defame or do anything like that, but ask the right questions. Or at least decent questions, and you guys can choose to answer them if you don't. First, we're going to speak with David Pudgley and Post Media. I'm looking at your events in 2018, and I see something very concerning. I have a feeling I know what happened, and the fact that you journalists aren't concerned about that is terrifying. It's one thing to have your own beliefs, your political beliefs, but to not realize the reality of what seems like actually happened and how bad that was on a global scale is terrifying. We don't live in a democracy if you're unable to address that fundamental concern. It is not a democracy. Right? And that's you making those choices. Now, David Pudgley, it seems like you posted on days that were significant with me, and now, yes, it all started up around the same dates as my job getting posted and all this stuff. Any rational, reasonable person would look at that and say, Scott, we can see why you're confused, especially then you see how this all turned out and how convenient it would have been to have somebody to frame. Any rational person looking at this would say we can see why he would think that. And then David Pudgley's posting on those days that are significant with me. And then me being targeted by these people around the same time as, regardless of if that was the intention, you can see how our fates became intertwined. And it wasn't something that I caused, right? Like, I didn't cause my manager to come at me and attack me like that. It was from day one, and there was a history. I'm not making that up. There was an objective history that existed aside from me. I just was done. Wasn't going to be treated like a dog, right? But I need you to really look at the events with the police and how they've lied, cheated, and stole here, right? A lot of your writers are conservative-sided on a lot of these types of issues, and you're talking about hate and giving hate a platform. You know, you're saying, oh, gay rights, this and that, and it's like, guys, I went through so much hell because of stigma, because of that very hate. I've been tortured my entire life. I've watched the damage it's done to so many different men who are just cannot be okay with themselves. Older men who have come and talked to me crying, wishing it could have been different because they never came out of the closet, because they feel comfortable talking to me. Younger men who pretend to be homophobic, but then when everybody else is away, come over rubbing me and touching on me and all these different things. Listen, you're animals. If something smells good, it smells good. If it makes your dick hard, it makes your dick hard. Don't hate yourself over it. You're normal. I would say that 80% of dudes show some sort of interest towards me, or especially when I was younger. Right? I've seen it consistently. There's nothing wrong with you, okay? Stop beating yourself up. You're still a man. You can define what it means to be a man. You can change that in a different course. You can take a different course to redefine yourselves, or to redefine or make a better definition of a man. You can change that definition, and you can change it for everybody instead of trying to put these groups down. Right? Put your fear aside. Put the issues with yourself aside. We need to tackle this hate problem, and what's going to happen is you're going to give hate a platform, thinking you can control it, but you can't control it, and what it'll do is it will take over, and that's what's happened in history, and that's partly what's happening right now and would have happened. It's up for all of us to stop that together. It's up to all of us to move forward together. So no matter what happens out of this, please keep that in mind, okay? I'm not your enemy. I never was. Okay. Thank you and have a good day. Hi everybody, Scott George again, and this is another personal entry in the Wolf in the Know Network. This one here is directed towards the black community in Nova Scotia, Halifax, but also all the other minority groups that might exist, whether it's Asian, Indigenous, if you were Indian, Chinese, Japanese, whoever, right? Whether you're gay, straight, if you're transsexual, any underrepresented group. I want to talk to you guys just about these issues. I want to speak first to the black community. I want you to know, like, I did not make these decisions lightly, and I did what I thought was best in my heart. I didn't know about all these people watching. I didn't try to exploit or extort these issues. I didn't do that. I was even fair to, say, like Jim Perrin, and I was fair to J.D. Irving about it, but I stood my ground. Because we all know that racism and hate still exist in Nova Scotia, and we know that it exists in the police force. My exes, I've seen it. They've talked to me about it. I've seen the fear from your community, and I know what that is. And I want to say, I know it doesn't mean anything, and I'm a nobody, but I want to say sorry. I'm sorry for what the world has done to you, and I understand your fear, and I'm sorry that maybe, it's not my responsibility, and it's no individual's responsibility, but I'm sorry that I believed in reconciliation so much. And that's a sad thing to say, and I never thought I'd be saying that, but that was my problem, right? I couldn't believe that people could be such monsters. And even though I'd seen it, it took a while in my life to really see it. I remember, like, one of my exes started talking about all these, like, slang words that they would call these, like, different people that were up there. And I was like, I never heard that before, and they were shocked. And they were like, because you're not, like, racist, you don't think about it like that. Like, I made really crude, stupid jokes and stuff when I was younger, and I feel embarrassed and ashamed by it, but it's something that we all need to face, right? I'm okay with that. I'm okay with myself. I have some really funny, cringy stories, it's not so funny. It's more like, but it's funny just given the context of the cultural ignorance and what people think is harmless and what's not. We'll save them for another time. But to the other communities out there, I'm sorry for what these people have done with you, but I need to speak to this now. You cannot reconcile with what our CMP is. Okay, there can be no reconciliation with that. When you got somebody like Dan Kinsella who would just come out and steal this historic apology and then look at everybody and say he will personally follow up in every single case, and he's hiding and sneaking out exits so he doesn't face questions, and he's putting his officers in front of us to get them into an extortion engine so he can use it against them. You can never reconcile with that kind of behavior and those kind of men. You can't, and you know that. You know that, right? You just keep hoping that tomorrow will be better and tomorrow will be better, and I sincerely hope that it will be better, but it won't be better by allowing Dan Kinsella or people like him. Right? It's only going to happen if you fight for your rights and you stand up against these people. And I want you to know that if you ever need my help, no matter where I am, I will do my best to help. I'll offer my opinion. I will be honest with you. And you need to understand my stance on talking about everybody being racist and all these different things. I understand it is disproportional. Do you know what they would have done to me had I just chose one side and said everybody's just racist? They would have locked me up and called me a terrorist and said it's polarized personal political ideologies. I'm being that's right. They did it. Like, look at what they did, but they would have came after me. So, I spoke my heart. I spoke truth for everybody. And I know that might seem kind of bitter towards certain sentiments or groups, but that's not my intention. But just please be careful out there. Do not trust the police. Build up strong community supports and, lean on each other. Maybe someday we'll get there, but we can't trust these groups right now. You just can't. And, just take care, everybody. Good luck. Hi everybody, this is Scott George again, and this is another personal entry in the Wolf and the Neural Network. This entry is directed towards RCMP Sheet Harbor and RCMP Sherbrooke, the RCMP attachments on 40 kilometers on either side of me here. Hey guys! So I really unfortunate that this is the circumstances under which we met. It's really unfortunate that they dragged you all into this. I begged and pleaded with them not to. I even on our first encounter here at my house when they sent them out, I said how inappropriate it was that they're dragging you guys into this, and that what they're trying to do is make us fight each other. So hopefully you'll dig up dirt on me or some kind of dirt, or your personal interest will come against me. And look how that's working. Look with Jessica. Right? That's exactly what these people planned. That's what they wanted. That's how extortion engines work. And you know why they did that to you? Why they didn't inform you? Why they lied to you? Why they sent you here as my feet are bleeding and full of blisters? I'm walking to see my mother dying in the hospital. And they knew all that. You know why they did that? Because they don't see you as human beings. They don't see you as trying to protect the community. They see you as pigs. They see you as just animals, little pawns in their game so they can hide from their responsibilities. They should never have done that to you. They should never have dragged you into this. They should have been responsible, and they should have dealt with this, but they didn't. Right? Think about it. You guys were here. You seen me. I was calm, cool, collected every single time. But because these people told you something, you couldn't see past your cognitive bias and your cognitive dissonance because you knew you'd have to go against them. Think about it. I'm right. That's why when you met me, this personality didn't match what they were telling you. Right? And look at all these videos and this evidence and everything. It's because they lied to you, because they see you as just some pigs. Right? I accept that I'm just some dog and maybe this is just my life and I'm wrong about this and that. Right? But what I'm not wrong about is I'm not wrong about hate. I'm not wrong about the things that I've seen in policing. The being stalked out of my sister's driveway because I'm a gay bro. Being stopped because my boyfriend's black. My ex coming crying to me because of the way Halifax Regional Police treated him because he's a brown man. I'm not wrong about these things. I'm not wrong about being stalked by the police. I'm not wrong. And that's not on all of you. Right? A lot of that's on failed leadership for allowing that to happen and promoting bad cops into positions. And, you know, when it comes to somebody like Jessica, I gave you chances as a person. I gave you my support. I gave you information. And I can prove you lied along the way. And you knew better. Because the day I went up there to see you, you asked the right questions. So I know that you're smart. I know that. But I also know that you knew I wasn't lying. And I was being honest and admitting my bias, which means you knew they were lying. That's right. And then me calling you, I didn't try to trick you. I knew by the sound in your voice that you were doing something bad, and then I heard that good in the background. Then I get a call from Nova Scotia Health Authority. Do you understand that I'm reporting serious crimes, including somebody touching me inappropriately, and these people are covering it up, and you're trying to have me terrorized? That is clearly you not allowing the law to be followed or enacted because of your own polarized personal and political ideologies. And that level of abuse should seriously be investigated as an instance of domestic terrorism. Do you understand that? No, because you see me as the enemy and you see me as just all right. Did you file complaints against these higher-ups? Did you file complaints against those other people? No, you didn't. Because I was the easiest target. And I didn't choose that. You chose that. You have nobody to blame. Now, with Sherbrooke Police, I did catch you guys looking around the sides of my house and into my car, and you know that's extremely fucking inappropriate. I'll ask you, doesn't matter. What I do want to say is, I only have a few seconds left here, is like, please, I don't have a problem with all police. There are good police officers, there are bad police officers. I've advocated for you guys to get a plane in case there's ever another mass murder, and I advocated for you guys to have proper mental health support, because what they did to you guys, especially after the mass shooting, was inappropriate. But I want to say this to two officers from Sheet Harbor. I want to say, Chad, thank you very much for treating me as a human being and being a decent man. And it is my recommendation to RCMP that if there is a promotion available, Chad receive it. I also, if he wants it. But I also want to say thank you to Justin for being an all-around good guy. Thank you for that. I'm sorry these are the conditions under which we have to meet. I'm sorry about all of this. Thank you, everyone. Please be safe. Hi everybody, Scott George again, and this is another personal entry in the Wolf in the Neural Network. This one here is going to be for these people right at the top of J.D. Irving. Hey guys. How you doing? You know, the best part is, I mean, you're going to say that I targeted you or I did something, but I mean, if you go back and look through it, I didn't. Like I said, there's going to be rich people. Good for you. I don't care. I mean, you can try to play that game. And of course, that's what you're going to do. You're going to try to pretend to be the victims. You're going to try to use your money to come after me. You're going to lie, cheat, and steal. And then sit back and try to pretend you're some kind of big man. I mean, that's your game, right? Aside from your money, what are you people known for? I did all this myself. And you've got all of that, and what are you people doing? Like, really, this is the way I look at this. You guys have enough money that you could buy a private island, literally have fresh pussy every single day. Anything you want, private jet, you could have whatever food you want. You could just lead completely hedonistic lifestyle. But here you are, fucking with some guy from Ecum Secum, some little faggot dog. Right? That's like a cat torturing a mouse or a bird. It's sociopathic behavior. You're sociopaths if you act like that. So why would you do that? Right? You could have ended this. Right? Why do you need more and more and more and more? Why are you blaming me? Right? Is that what you do? You just use money to buy your way out of everything your entire lives and then go look at yourself in the mirror and say, you big man, you big man? Surround yourself with yes men? That's what you do and you know it. Does it get lonely? I mean, at least for me, like, yeah, I'm a social person. I have people I know care about me and stuff, but I'm okay with that. I don't need to be told, you know, you're the man, this and that, and this and that, right? Because I've worked hard. I've had to work for everything I have. I had to work for my skills. I had to work to be intelligent. It took a lot of work. Right? And at the end of the day, I have that confidence to know who I am. You could say, well, you don't have money. Sure, fine. But all these people watching this, they're not looking at you and saying, good job, people right at the top of J.D. Irving. Good job, you're such big men. They're looking at this and saying, Scott held his fucking ground. He's a nobody and he beat these people. And all these people can do is buy their way out. Right? Can you imagine what I could do if I had access to your resources and your legal teams? You know what I could do. I would shove my fist into the fucking ground and this entire fucking planet would shake, and you know that. I would reshape the face of this fucking planet. And look at you people just squandering it so you could play make pretend. Oh, I'm an executive. Ooh, ooh. Set aside the real hard problems. Well, you pretend to be the victims and whine about masks and as there's a war going on and, you know, call Justin Trudeau a dictator and with the news part of this, not you directly. You know what I'm saying. Don't you want to do something hard? Don't you want to set yourself apart? You have all of that, so much that you could do. You could have helped me. You could have helped me with my mother. Wouldn't have been buying me off. We could have ended this. You've seen how many times I asked for you to just end this. Man, I would have signed an NDA and walked away, so why do this? Everybody knows why. Because you had to convince yourselves that you're some big man. You've seen some little... It's reasonable to say you've seen some little faggot dog and said, look, we could just dominate this guy, and then you can pretend you're big man. And look how well that turned out. The only thing you can do is buy your way out, and now everybody can see you. And every day you don't face this just proves my point. You're not men for doing this. Anyway, there's nothing else I have to say. Thank you for your time, I guess. Take care. Hi everybody, Scott George here again, and this is another personal entry in the Wolf in the Know Network. This is directed at Dr. Holm from Nova Scotia Health Authority, the psychologist who lied, cheated, and stole on the record to have me terrorized. Dr. Holm, you knew better. You knew that I did nothing wrong. You couldn't even articulate why you were keeping me. You admitted that you had no idea about the facts, and it was handed off several times to you. You were told that admitting Dr. Mockton humiliated me. You were told about my book bag. You were told about the man standing over me and touching my stomach inappropriately. And I remember how you looked off in the distance. And you're going to lie about it, right? Because you didn't put those things in the record, because then you couldn't lie, cheat, and steal and try to make me look to be a certain person. But that recording tells it all. And every single person watching this knows what you would have tried to do had that recording not existed. They know what a monster you are. It's non-contestable, and I'm not worried about how you people are going to retaliate. I can take a lot. Right? But I guess my biggest thing here is, like, how many people have you done this to? How many times have you covered up massive abuses? Right? Do you understand that your actions look like retaliation against me for reporting these issues? You couldn't articulate why you were keeping me. You just said because I'm unwell. I told you I'm a technical expert, did investigations with VPs, it involved the defense minister, and Jim Perrin from Halifax Regional Police, and you couldn't understand how Halifax Regional Police might be involved in this when you're facing a global technical expert. Your actions don't make any sense whatsoever. You couldn't articulate anything. You didn't even ask me appropriate questions. You could have tried to ask me a question to disprove me. Right? So much you could have done. And now look at the massive amounts of evidence. And then you took advantage of my mother, my sick mother? Oh, and you're going to blame me. Of course you are, right? It's what disgusting fucking pigs like you do. And nobody's going to be surprised. I'm not surprised. I'm ready for you because I've got more recordings. And you're going to say, well, I set you up. You're going to pretend to be the victim. And I mean, everybody's expecting that, right? You know what would be awesome if you came out and admit what you did, right? That's where I'm the most interested, right? Are you actually going to come out and admit it? Are you going to be that dick-hating nightmare monster that everybody knows you really are? That fucking monster that you know you are. Right? You literally did that to me because I am not the right kind of white. You said it. You stopped me from talking and said it can't be you. Okay. Your whole reason is it just can't be me when I did because think about that. I'm telling you I did an investigation with directors and VPs, these people right at the top of J.D. Irving, a previous commander of a criminal investigation unit, and you're saying you can't understand how this might involve the premier when they're lying about racism and get caught with this. And you're going to say I didn't articulate it properly, yet I've got all this evidence here. And it's all on this record with all these people, and they can see I am able to articulate this properly, and it was well documented, it was formatted, and it was meticulously done. I followed the law to a T. You can't even tell me who I would take this to, and your only answer can be the police. But you're still going to blame me and everything. I mean, it's just fascinating. To watch a psychologist do something like that, you basically just washed through your credibility out the window. How can anybody ever trust you? Do you know the liability you've opened up Nova Scotia Health Authority to? You do, and that's why you tried to cover this up so bad. Right? And imagine what you would have done had there not been a recording. Right? So everybody, if you want to watch what Dr. Holmes is, you can watch episode 14. Right? Nobody's really surprised. There's no talking to a delusional, dick-hating nightmare monster like Dr. Holmes. So I'm mostly talking past her. Right? And that's why Tim Houston showed up that night. The night my mother died. It was to cover up for this fucking failure for a human being. I'm not going to be nice to this fucking monster. This is a criminal. Dr. Holmes' actions is the definition of criminal negligence. And I'm going to make sure that she's held accountable and to that standard. It is my recommendation that RCMP proceed with charges, and that's what I'm going to be pushing. Thank you. Hi everybody, Scott Jors here again, and we're going to do another personal entry in the Wolf in the Know Network. This entry here is going to be directed towards Nova Scotia Health Authority, staff, and directors. I can't stress this enough. I am so beyond disappointed. I never expected such humiliation and degradation. I expected it from the police, but not from Nova Scotia Health Authority. I was absolutely humiliated. I had my rights stripped. Ethically, I was asking for a lawyer and I was denied it while I was being told that I did something wrong because I was asking how appropriate it was to have my blood and stuff taken. I had absolutely no representation. Your staff didn't make sure that I had representation. They didn't do anything and actively degraded me because of asking for it. I mean, there were certain individuals that were really good. The receptionist, she was really good. The MRI operator, she was really good. Different staff at Mount Hope were really kind to me. Right? But at its core, that admitting doctor got up and humiliated me. And my book bag got sent to Mount Hope before I ever seen a doctor. Right? These are serious, serious issues, and they did happen. You're going to lie about it. I mean, of course you are, right? You're not good. A lot of you aren't good people. You're going to lie to protect yourselves, and you're going to say, oh, I don't remember this or that. And whatever, I'm not expecting some sort of miracle out of you. Right? But just to see it so consistently, that is not just a failure of individuals, that's a failure of the leadership. Right? Your leadership failed you in so many different ways. Those directors bringing me in there that second time and then blaming me for it, and they didn't prepare you guys. They don't have policies. Like, look at Karen Hornberger. That I am so beyond disappointed in her as a human being. Like I can't even believe it. Just such blatant negligence. There's absolutely no argument that you guys should in any way be able to control your own privacy process. That has to go to the Privacy Commissioner of Nova Scotia, and I'm going to advocate for that fully. It is my recommendation that the admitting doctor be formally reprimanded and fired. The way she got up and humiliated me and my book bag being sent to Mount Hope before I ever seen a doctor, like, did she just admit me because they'd already made a mistake, or did they just admit me without her even talking to me? And then her, like, just humiliating me and mocking me, and then seeing how dangerous that was, that officer then got up and screamed in my face. What would he have done to me had I had to stay with him for any amount of time after she made that all right? That was so dangerous. And she's going to lie about it. So I have to sit here and think, how many people has she done that to? You could have a serious problem, an actual monster who's putting not you, your friends, your family, and your children in danger. You need to look out for that person. You need to watch that person, and you need to treat that extremely seriously. Now, with Dr. Holmes, she knew she was lying. Let's be clear, everybody knows that. You can listen to the recording yourself, right? That's a monster. She's a psychologist. She should have known better. She should know the police mentality. She did. Right? Her own nurse came to me and was like, dude, these points about the police being a conflict of interest are really good points. It's like, because they are really good points. She couldn't even tell me who to take this to if not the police. Right? You all know what that is. You knew what she was doing, right? And I was so scared at the time. Like, what hit if I'd pushed back further on her? What do you think she'd have did? That monster would have done things that she didn't even know she could do, because she's a monster. And when you hear the rest of the story, you people are going to be shocked. I don't know how, like, her staff are going to be able to look her in the face and be like, I trust that person, because she's such a monster. And if she do this in such an obvious case, it again brings up the question, how many people has she done this to and lied about, and then intimidated and then locked up and forced full of drugs because she didn't want to face her failures or the failures of the people underneath her, or the right kind of white, or the police. Right? These are all very valid questions. It's not something it's something you guys can fix, but it's going to take active steps. And I would say your best first step is that you need to advocate for having the privacy issues removed from your hands and pushed over to the Privacy Commissioner for all your safety. And that Karen Hornberger should face a formal reprimand. She lied. Anyway, thank you for your time. Have a good day.